development groups around the world. And it was kind of crazy because when I looked around, I began to see developers, but I didn't see many developers that look like me or anybody else really on this platform right now. And I was like, oh man, this guy really right? So I stepped away from the idea of even becoming a developer and went on to do other things. And one day it just snapped to hit me. It's like, no, dude, I saw this building. Matter of fact, if you guys are, I think a couple of you from Dallas, I saw the Bank of America building again, downtown. And I grew up looking at that building and seeing that building being inspired by it. I also saw Reunion Tower. And when I saw those two, it just snapped to hit me again. I said, no, if there's not people that look like me in this industry doing this, there will be. And so that's really what pushed me.
So you're in Dallas?
I'm actually in Florida, but I'm from Dallas.
Okay. Okay.
I go back and forth to Dallas a lot and still visit family, and eventually I will be moving back.
Okay. Okay.
I think, as a matter of fact, I'm actually down the street, if you will, a little ways, but down the street from your project there in Odessa.
We don't have one out there.
Odessa. He's talking about the 40-acre we looked at with a wow from Chris. Remember that one?
Oh yes. Okay. Okay.
I'm down the street from that property.
Okay. How about that?
So I started putting some stuff together, and we even went, when I finally did get a hold of Sadiq, I said, hey, Sadiq, I said, I told him flat out, hey, I'm new to this thing. I've got basic level experience, but I want to get with folks that know what they're doing, that have the same aspirations I do to really put this crisis that we have into to rest, and put some units out there, get folks in the houses and get them off the streets and get them into stuff that's affordable. So.
Well, let me ask you a couple of questions. Where's the project that you want to focus on?
So I've got two that I've looked at. One is down south of me in Fort Lauderdale, downtown Fort Lauderdale, actually. And then another one I was looking at was actually in Dallas.
In Dallas?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Well,
primarily the Fort Lauderdale project.
You're more interested in the Fort Lauderdale project first?
Yes, sir.
Okay. We believe there are a lot of incentives for affordable housing projects in Florida right now. We've seen a lot. Kent's done a lot of research on a lot of that stuff that's available there. And let me tell you a little bit. So is it Stephen or Stephon or?
It's Stephen.
Okay, Stephen. Do you mind if I call you Stephen?
Okay. Go for it.
So since you saw this on YouTube, you probably kind of know a little bit about the way we are doing this. And when you stepped in on that other meeting, we use the same link most of the time. So when you came in a few minutes early, being the guy that you are, being early, always on time, what we were doing was we were going through a project that we already own in Mansfield. And that guy that was talking was he was our engineer that's platting that thing. He's also the designer that drew our plans for that. And he used to be on the city planning and zoning commission for Mansfield. So what we typically do in a process like what you want to do, you got a piece of land identified. The way we start is we would start with the area median income in that area just to see what's available in that area. Fort Lauderdale, I bet that's real easy to figure that out. Once we figure out that where your site is and it's in this particular zip code, the area median income is here, that kind of gives us a target for feasibility. Like, okay, the area median income in this area is $30,000 a unit. I mean, $30,000 a household for a family. We already know that's going to be a little difficult to develop in. So if you're hell bent on doing that, then there has to be some alternatives for payment of the rents, like maybe partnering with a housing authority or something like that to dedicate some units or dedicate some vouchers to that site. Because with that dedication of the Section 8 vouchers, then we can have that site underwritten at market value for those rents, okay? So We would start with feasibility of your site, just checking the rents. Okay, it's feasible. This looks like something that we can definitely get something structured in. Like, then we would start with the zoning of that particular site that you have, see what the current zoning is, and then try to see what it can be zoned for. Kent just put in the chat that the 4-person AMI is $88,500, right? All right, so using that number, if we're going to do an affordable deal, what we would probably start at is setting aside 50% of those units for people that make 80% of the area median income. So if you got $88,000 as an area median income times 80%, our resident's going to make roughly $70,000 a year. HUD has set the standard on what residents pay towards rent, and that's typically not more than 30% of their income. So you take that 70,400 times 0.3, they paying $21,000 a year. You divide that by 12, that's $1,760 a month. That's a great average rent for that market. So we know from just back of the napkin math that this project will be feasible, okay? So now we're looking at a particular site that you have, 5 acres, 10 acres, blah, blah, blah. We need to figure out how much can be built on the current zoning in that area. So we know Florida is a great economy. But what we would normally check to see, is this a marketplace or a market where we've got declining residency or inclining? Are the job markets strong? Are they going south or are they going north? So we know that Florida is an area of growth. So that's not something that we'd have to worry about. And then back to the zoning to see what that particular site would be zoned for currently, and do we think that it could be changed for multifamily housing? And we would do that by first checking the zoning in that market, in that area, calling the P&Z, talking to some people, trying to figure that out. And then from all intents and purposes, we get a nod, yes, that the zoning in this market can probably be changed for what we want. Then what we do is we try to put together an engagement with you and say, okay, Mr. Love, there is we're doing a multi-million-dollar project, right? This 200 units, this thing could be 50 million bucks. We understand that's a lot of money. We understand that it takes a lot to get this across the finish line, but there are really some ways that we can do that without you having $1 million checkbook. If you got $1 million checkbook, this is really easy. But what it'll probably take, we're getting estimates now on a deal that we're doing in Arlington. And typically what we do is we have a consultant agreement that's on a monthly basis. We believe that we can get most of this work done within a 6 to 12 month process. I'm not going to talk about the price of that agreement right now because we're live on YouTube, and so I just don't want to put that out there like that. But what we would do then is we would come to that agreement, and then on top of our consulting services, we would employ third parties to provide all of the reports that we need for this particular site. We would start with a market study. So we've already done kind of a quasi market study right here back of the napkin. We know what the market rents are. We know that this is a strong economy, but this professional market study will give us everything that we need, and it'll kind of be a marching order for us. We'll let them know that this particular site at 123 ABC Street, we're proposing to do 200, 300 units of multifamily housing. We're going to set 50% of those units aside for residents that make 80% of the area median income. We're going to finance it with tax-exempt bonds, and they will come back to us with a market study that either supports or does not support that thought process. If it does not support that thought process, there will be some recommendations as to how it can become feasible, right? We pretty much, before we get to that point, we know whether that it'll fly or not. So we're not ever really concerned about that. So that's a third party report. Those reports, I won't talk about price, but it's less than 10,000 bucks, okay? And from that, what that shows, not just us, But everybody that we're going to approach with this process, from the bond issuers to the guys that are going to finance this, is that we've done our homework. We know that this works. We got a business plan and a model that a third-party engineering firm has validated. So from there, and this is all, I don't know if you own the land, if we're going to buy this land, if we have to take control of it, meaning get it under contract. But if you don't own it, we would work with you to negotiate the contract so that the purchase of this deal lines up with all of our entitlements. We do not want you to have to spend $2 million today, unless you got $1 million checkbook, multi-million dollar checkbook. But if you don't, then we would, and most times, Stephen, man, these sellers will work with us because the land's been there since Jesus made. I mean, since the beginning of the earth, right? There's nothing ever been there. So yeah, the market is booming, but your buyer hadn't shown up yet, so it's probably us, and you might ought to just work with us. And sometimes all the time that's part of negotiating, but that could be even paying a little bit more for the price because we know what we're going to add to the value there, right? And so once we've got that control, we hire all the third parties, we get the geotech work done, we get topo surveys done. And so all of that is done in the thought process of getting the entitlements in place for the units. We'll hire a third-party engineer, we'll hire an architect. The architect works with the engineer. Typically what's needed in that process is we need a engineered pre-plat to scale showing what this would look like, where the buildings are going to be located, how big the buildings are, everything down to a landscape plan. So there's some extensive work that goes into the first part of this. Typically, the estimate that I've gotten for this deal we're working on in Texas, we've got, it's probably about $200,000 to do that. That's going to be including engineer, getting the plating process done, architect, setting up the landscape plan and doing some of that. All in, we might be $250,000, no more than probably $300,000, okay? So with that $300,000, what we have done is we've taken this 10-acre tract of land that you bought or that we've got controlled or that you own, and we've gotten it entitled 200, 300 units of apartments. So let's just assume it's 10 acres and it's 200 units and it's in Fort Lauderdale, Florida. What we would assume from that, and we'll get an appraisal to substantiate this value once the entitlements are in place. But what we have done is we've taken this $1 million tract of land, $2 million tract of land to a value of something close to $30,000 a key. So now you got 200 units, you got $6 million in value there. We're going to take that $6 million and then we're going to go get you a loan and we're going to close that land. We're going to close it and we're going to get enough money to pay for the blueprints that will get us construction docs. That's going to be another $1.5 million. But you'll be all in about $3.5, $4 million on this loan. It'll build in 12 months worth of interest carry. And so technically, you're not even having to pay for it. And when you get the $4 million loan, if you have to finance the first $200,000 or $300,000 to get there, because we have a mechanism to do that, you can actually pay that loan off when we get that second loan out. So there's a commitment on everybody's part. Yeah, you're going to be committed because if you don't have the cash, you're going to borrow it. It's going to be a personal guarantee for that. But the guarantee that we have is that, and I'm saying this very cautiously because I just said the word guarantee. The guarantee that we have is that we will have all these third-party reports to support or not support this project. If it's not supported, you're not going to spend that much money because the first thing you're going to spend is maybe a month's worth of engagement and maybe the market study. That's it. We're out of here. Now, that doesn't negate our work. But if that particular site doesn't work, that'll be the best $3,000, $4,000, $5,000, $6,000 we ever spent, right? If it does work, then we're on to the next phase of this. And after the market studies in hand, we know we got something that we can deliver. We'll have a, fully entitled project. Florida's really mandating that these affordable housing projects take precedent. So in some marketplaces where it could take 2 to 3 years to get this kind of stuff done. In Florida, we're probably going to be less than 12.
Can I ask, if I may,
Absolutely.
this particular seller has already gone through, got entitlements. I have an OM that's here. Actually, I was on the phone with him earlier. The site's already been approved for 316 units. It was amended for 371.
Okay.
And they've gotten verbal approval. It should finalize somewhere within the end of this month or beginning of next month for the 371 units.
Okay.
They changed the density on it. So does any of that matter? Does any of that have any weight on what we're doing at all? Or are we just going to start from scratch, or how would what they've already done, market studies, all that already play into what we're doing?
All of that, there's no need for redundancy. It's already entitled for that 371. We would just get a copy of all the reports that they've done. If they've got a market study, if they got any geotechnical work, surely they got surveys and plats if it's already approved. Now, the only downside to that is we were taking this site from $1 million to $6 million in value. How much do they want for it?
They said low 40s a door, but roughly about 42.5 a door.
That's the difference.
Right. Absolutely.
So either you spend a year doing it and make $8 million in value, or you go pay somebody else for the work they've done. If you pay somebody else for the work they've done, can this be financed? Can that price be built into this? I'm sure that we could look at we need to get a price. We can put together a pro forma. We'd have to do that. The consulting on that is not near as extensive because literally all we're doing is we're building a model now from what they've already gotten. We'll gather all their documents and make sure that we've got a full package. We'll get that thing underwritten. Ken and I would reach out to the lenders that we've got that would do the bonds issuance and see if this is a market that they want to participate in, because that's kind of the first thing we do. We start with the financing and the money in hand. So if we can get it financed, then we back our way into how much we can finance. Does that make sense? Okay. So yeah, all of that does make sense. I mean, we wouldn't do anything redundant that they've already done. There's no need. That'd be a waste of money. So now you see where the money's made. It's made in the process. It's not made. Now, yeah, you'll make some money building these apartments. That'll be long term.
And much like Sadiq's project, it was funny because he had mentioned on his that his was close by a transit center or a rail station that was coming in the future. Well, we've on this particular site, it's CBD, Fort Lauderdale, for downtown. Just right next to it is the transit station, and then right across on the other side of the street is their Brightline rail station as well. So I mean, it's smack dead in the middle of everything beautiful.
This could be a great project, and there's probably some dollars out there. I mean, this is affordable workforce deal, so there's already going to be some incentives for financing. There's also going to be there may be some soft money available there as well. Because it's on a transit oriented development, which promotes connectivity. Some of these cities are throwing soft dollars at developers to do that. So there could be some really great benefits there.
Did you want to see the OM on it, or did you need to? Or
you can email it to us. Yes,
okay.
Go ahead and email it to us. And what we will do from there, I mean, that OM is going to pretty much give us everything we need. I could probably build a freaking pro forma off of that OM. They probably have one in there, kind of. Typically they do. And then, man, you got 90% of the work already done because with the entitlements, that part of it. I mean, when I say 90% of the work, that's the hard part. Where we are today, putting together the finance package. I mean, we could probably have it done in a couple of months and have a nice pro forma deck built, submitted to a couple of lenders, have some feedback on that. participation from lenders and bond purchasers and et cetera. We can probably have that done 60 days or so. What kind of timeline is this guy giving you for a closing of this, since it's not fully approved yet, but they've got a verbal, so they'll probably be done by the end of this month or end of September? What kind of timeline are they giving you for closing?
So he didn't mention the closing timeline. They've got a call for LOIs next week. Obviously it's a little bit competitive, but he mentioned that the options where they were looking at either closing and selling, or they were entertaining potential finance options or potential JV options on it. But I told him, I said, if I did look at it, we would do our best to kind of see what we can put together and be ready for it. But he didn't mention exactly timeline.
Okay, so if they're going to market with it, they're gonna try to see how much they can get the price up. Sometimes that's good, but right now in Florida, that may be a benefit because even though there's a big crisis and a need, insurance rates are freaking going through the roof all over the country, and Florida is one of the ones that are drastically impacted. Interest rates just went up last week, so that's curbing a lot of appetite for market street developers to just, market rate developers to come out here and just add a bunch of units to the ground. So it could be an opportunity to where there may not be a flood of offers, and then we can go in and negotiate a transaction that can close simultaneous with the construction loan and et cetera. Do they have they've got a conceptual plat that'll be approved? Do they have construction docs for these 300 and some odd units yet, or no?
To my knowledge, he mentioned that he had most of it, but I didn't ask specifically about the construction doc, because before they mentioned they did have some, but I'm not sure. Before, like I said, I heard they did, but then later I didn't even bother to ask.
Okay. Typically, full construction docs, includes the blueprints, engineering, everything, typically run about 7% of the total project. So if we're looking at 371 units, let's just use a round number for Florida, about 220 per door. For construction, 220 times 371, roughly 81 million times 0.0. We might be able to get it cheaper than that. It's so big. But we're looking at almost $4 million for fully engineered construction docs. That is part of the challenge when we are in the first scenario. I explained how we could finance those construction docs because we were adding so much value to the dirt itself, right? In this scenario where you're buying the dirt fully entitled without any blueprints, construction docs, fully engineered, there's a $4 million expense that has to be accounted for before we can close, before we can go to the table. So that's definitely something that has to be thought about. Is there an opportunity to partner with some investors to borrow that money based on if we had a commitment from lending? That's possible. Surely anything's possible. I mean, yeah. Hey man, we're going to build 400 units in Florida. They're going to be worth freaking 120 million. I need to borrow $4 million until we close. It's a 6-month process. I don't even need all the money at one time. Need a big deposit and then progress payments to the architect. And when it's done, we go on to closing. You can get your money back plus a premium. So if there's some relationships that surely exist somewhere for a good guy like yourself that super smart and intelligent, and you've been bouncing around these streets. We can put together something like that pretty easy.
And it's kind of funny you mentioned that. So I kind of did that part of the homework too. So I've got a broker that's down south in the Fort Lauderdale area. He's primarily in the luxury space. He's got a handful of investors that I've talked to about, see if he can start tickling their ear to look at the project. I've got some up here up north to include probably one of the largest investors in Tampa Bay, tickling his ear through a connection that we had. So we're looking at it. We've gotten some that said, hey, if you can put together something that looks attractive, we're more than willing to entertain it and go ahead and invest. So there's some soft commitments, but we've got several folks whose ears have been tickled. So we'll see if we can get it to play out.
Well, that's the whole deal right there. I mean, from you got an entitled piece of dirt already. We'll look at that OM. Ken and I'll get together first part of next week. We'll see what it'll take to put together a pro forma. We may be able to take some of that OM with our pro forma, put together a deck. We can give you a proposal on what all of that kind of looks like. I bet you within, I don't want to say time yet, but I was about to say within probably a week or so, we could have some feedback from a couple of lenders that we work with on a regular basis to see what their appetite for that market is. And then I think from there, that'll give you a great enough picture to say, oh yeah, I'm interested in this. Let's try to walk this out. What you think?
I'm right in agreement with you. I think it's
Okay.
great.
Okay. Kent, did I miss anything? What are you thinking?
Well, I think, Steven, I just want to ask you, like, how committed are you to become a developer? I know we had the great story in the beginning, but obviously, right, you said in the beginning, time is precious. We only want to work with committed folks. And I just want to hear from you, like, how committed are you to this process? We just talked about a $4 million cost to cover. And if we're pursuing this route, we have to raise it. Do you believe it in yourself enough to raise it? That's an open question.
On the back of my laptop, I actually have it engraved. It says, never quit, never give up.
Okay.
I'm more committed to this thing than what most people are committed to practically anything. So I'm committed through and through. I will not stop. I mean, I'm probably worse than a pit bull. When I grab a hold of something, I don't let it go.
Okay.
So
all right.
I'm committed. Yeah, I'm
Well,
locked in.
Like us. Yeah. Well, I know that between our team, me and Kent and Ariel and Peggy and the whole bunch, that we could put together a presentation that will have a lender going, yeah, we like that, and this, we'll hell, the OM's already got the market study, so that's I mean, all that stuff's already done for us, right? So this we're gonna pay a little bit more for the dirt than but it's still got value there. So you're not gonna overpay for it. We just don't have to work as hard to build value. We were gonna build in some sweat equity, but since it's already there, our job will be to convince the seller that you're the right guy for it.
Absolutely. And I'll reach back out and see if we can find out if they've got the fully engineered construction docs. Again, I assume that they should going through this, but
maybe not. Sometimes they just put it together with a concept, get it entitled, go make $7 million and go on to the next. Yeah.
Well, Steven, what are you more interested in after we just kind of walk through those scenarios, right? Of how much value you can force into the land versus buying a property that's already entitled. What interests you more? Like, do you want to go through the work of engaging third parties, getting the entitlements, doing all that work? Or do you really just want to step into a project once it's entitled and just take it from there? What interests you more?
Be honest, on this project, like you said, redundancy is one of the things that's not necessary. So on this particular project, I looked and I said, if everything's already been done, even though I want the experience of being able to do it, might as well knock it out just the way it is. And then, once we get this project knocked out of the works on the next one, then I get the chance to go through it from start to finish.
Right.
Then I'll get the chance to learn both.
Okay. And are you for making this an affordable housing project? Were you trying to just keep it market rate project? What was going on through your head? Like, what was your goals?
So definitely as much affordable housing as this project can allow. Obviously, it's going to make some money, but I definitely want as many affordable housing units in it as possible.
Okay, great. That works perfect.
I think, Stephen, you also talked about, we talked a little bit over on the phone about what you are trying to create, actually, when it comes to non-government NGOs. So I know Alvin has something already like that going on, but I feel like it would be good to also expose what you have in mind. And I think it's a great idea, but I think Alvin should be aware of what you're thinking as well on that side.
Are you referring to NAREP? Okay. So Alvin, and for everyone else, so I encountering this huge problem that we have with the multifamily space, also encountering the challenges to bring a lot of the minorities into the space, right? The challenge that I bumped into, I really looked at it and I just like, man, there's got to be something better, and something that we can put together out there to help develop the professionals that are going to be going into this space and working it, helping keeping them motivated and giving them the tools necessary to be able to accomplish these tasks. At the same time, helping to build the units and put together what's necessary for these folks to go into affordable housing and build our communities. So that's where I got together with a friend of mine, my co-founder, Ariana, and we decided to put together the National Association of Unified Real Estate Professionals, or NAREP. The concept and idea behind it is to work on the professionals, minority backgrounds all over, work on the professionals, get them up to par, and then those professionals will work on the communities. I've looked at some partnerships, and I'm probably, since it's on YouTube, I probably can't talk too much about it publicly just yet, but we've worked on some partnerships, pretty large ones, and we've got forward momentum on it. So it's huge, and I can send you guys the information about it on the deck, and then later on we'll make a public announcement about it.
That I look forward to hearing more about that. That's symbiotic with some of the things that we're doing, even with the labor force, trade school. Young lady sent me a thing today. I just wrote a book called The New Look of Affordable Housing, totally inspired by Kent He. He made me do it.
Come on, kid.
But one of the ladies told me we need to try to get that book in high schools, in the colleges, because it's so technical, but it's so simple that I think it would expose more people to what we're doing, not just development, but really the prices, if I can use that term, of affordable housing. So, yeah, that's what you're talking about, is symbiotic with that.
And it's unique. There was the partner that one of the partners I was talking about. It was wild how, in conversations with him about it, he mentioned at their conference they just had, he said, man, this is crazy, because he said, we offer this particularly for developers, but it was something that is more on a minutia level. But he said, there was a lady that just said that we need this on a national level, and she just told me about it, and I said, it's coming. And then lo and behold, I see you, and that's why I reached out to you, and I said, dude, this is meant to be, because you reached out to me. I had no clue about what she said. She's in Minneapolis, Minnesota, by the way. But funny enough, she's in that group. So I just was like, you know what, this is something that's needed. It needs a face, and it needs national recognition. Just because there are plenty of other national trade associations that are definitely specific to certain race groups. They're specific to certain problems. We have a larger set of problems, and our thing is I don't want to say, well, this race group or that race group. It's like, this is a problem where we need to become unified and all come together. All these minds working together. Who cares about the background and where they're from and what nationality, ethnicity, skin color? It's like, we need to be unified. This is a problem that we can put a stop to.
Well, I tell you what, I love that. Man, go to Amazon and put in The New Look of Affordable Housing and see if my book pops up.
Yeah, check it out, man. The New Look of Affordable Housing. I got it right next to my desk. There you go.
I just ordered 5 copies today myself from Amazon. So
It is literally the first thing that pops up as soon as I put the new look.
bam.
Yeah, so Stephen, we love everything you're doing. That's why Alvin and we started a consulting company, because our goal to simplify the problem real well is just we just want to take the fear out of people wanting to become developers. That's it. All the information that we share with you today, those are all information that someone would have paid 10, 20, 30, $50,000 just to even learn those steps. We're here sharing for free because we really believe in just giving away for the information for free. And we're just trying to help you through the implementation, hold your hands through the entire process and empower you as much as possible. And hopefully one day you will pay it forward to another person. And that's how we're going to be able to help millions and not billions of people. This is going to be super cool.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I just got the book. So I'm going to be reading that as soon as I get off here. And
Did you
guys,
get the $1.99 version? The ebook?
This was the ebook version. So yeah, it's on my Kindle or on my iPhone here. It's Kindle.
Yeah.
But
Let me know what you think about it.
I will. I wanted to say to you guys, thanks, because like I said, this is definitely just for what you guys have just shared just today. Like you said, it's $40,000-$50,000 easy. But I think what we're all in this for are the right reasons. Obviously, I think a byproduct of that is just going to be money. I mean, nobody's working for free, if you will. But our heartbeat and our passion is to make sure that folks have some of the basic necessities of life, and this is one of the basic necessities of life, and that's a place to live, and something that you can afford to pay.
Yeah, no, that's good. Well, I'll tell you what, Stephen, we look forward to getting your OM next week. Kent and I and Ariel will get together Monday or Tuesday, go through it. I'm sure we'll look at it before then, but we'll put our heads together on our weekly meeting first of next week and put together something that when are the LOIs due, you said?
On the 16th is what he told me.
When is that, Tuesday? Next
Wednesday.
Okay. We'll get you something on Tuesday. I think along with that, Kent, we want to send a LOI. You want to prepare an LOI that we can send and send back to Stephen with it. And if he wants to do this, he can use that.
Yeah.
Stephen, you want to see something like that?
I can do that. Yeah, that worked great.
Okay. Or at least it'll give you some ideas as how we write it. And you can take it and transpose it. And we'll give you some ideas on that.
Awesome. And if you could, I don't want you to put it out there unless you want to, but if you could, if not, just email it or give me your email in the chat. It'd be great.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. And I think hopefully we'll have some new email addresses next week. Hey, Kent, will you put mine in there? I can't even find the chat.
Yeah, he already did, Alvin.
Oh, okay. I'm like, where is that? I saw it pop up, but where's the keyboard at?
He already did.
That's why I have these young geniuses around me, man. They know how to do everything.
I was told this a long time ago by an older gentleman. He said, listen, when you get to a certain point in your life, you start making more money. He said, son, let me tell you something. Don't go out there and try to be the big hot shot and do it on your own. He said, pay as much money to get as many geniuses around you as possible.
I'm the smartest one in the room.
Way.
I'm the smartest one in the room because of these people that are around me. What are you talking about?
I heard that.
Well, Stephen, man, this is good. I look forward to working with you, talking to you next week. Sadik?
Yeah.
Vina gave you so many compliments yesterday, day before yesterday. No, I'm telling you, man. Just keep being you, because I'm telling you, that lady loves you, and she really so much respect for you.
Appreciate it. I'm gonna be seeing you in Dallas on the September 8th. So I'll definitely reach out. And like I said to Stefan, I definitely want to be part of this. And I mean, however I could help, of course, I do have some relationship on things that could come up. And myself and Alvin were working on something else completely different. But however I can help Stefan, I think I'll be more than welcome to put a piece of the pie here. And same thing to Ken and to Alvin. However I can help. This is the family now, and want to be part of that.
Absolutely. And then same thing's open. I mean, however I can help. I'm the new kid on the block on the development side, but I've got more than enough connections. And I got a little bit in my, what we call in the Marine Corps, brain housing group. So I got a little bit up here. So if I can help you in any way, let me know. I also, I'm going to do my best schedule-wise to get out to Dallas for your conference. Another reason for me to go back home. So I'm going to definitely try to get out there for it.
Well, I know that Vina is having a kind of a birthday party, hitting $1 billion. September 9th, she's transacting on over $1 billion in transactions. So September 9th, she's having a party here. So Ken, I'm telling you that too, so we can get you a ticket. She's only got 100 tickets that she's gonna put out. So she already told me Sadik was gonna be here. So she's keeping 50 for her family, because her family's about 25, 30 people. And then so if you're gonna make it, let us know so that I can make sure that Vina has you in on that number. Or Sadik, just let her know. And Kent, I'll include you in our number.
Yep.
Okay.
Thanks.
Well, man, y'all.
Friday.
It's Friday.
One more thing, and I promise I'm gonna shut up. Kent, those pro formers you guys were working on, the model that you used, I don't know if you put that together or somebody else did, but those things are crazy.
I'm just piggybacking off Alvin's greatness. That's all.
Oh, it's
That's
Alvin. Alvin, those. I mean, I looked at them. I said, "Man, he's plugging the numbers in. They populate automatically, and it just looks like. I mean, somebody spent 13 hours trying to make that thing."
Actually, about 15 years, because every one of them changes. Every time it started with buying existing properties, so I started that model that way. And every deal is different, so you have to build in a different function for it. And so after all of these deals of all of these years, and half of them, 90% of them we didn't buy, but having to fix a model to see if we wanted to buy it led to what we have today. And then I worked with another young genius. His name is Colin up in Chicago. And I'm not an Excel expert, but I was able to communicate to him exactly kind of what I wanted to see in it. And so after all of these years, we finally got one that works. We're going to actually have it up on our website. It's an evergreen model. So when we put it up there, I probably just do a small subscription of like $9 a month or something like that. So everybody always has access to it. You won't be able to download the program. You wouldn't want to anyway, because I literally change it every week. But you'll be able to go in there and do whatever you want. We're going to get it to where it'll do a presentation page for you, because right now everything populates to a summary. And so if we can populate that to an investor presentation and a whole 9 yards, it's something that you'll be able to just get on there and do yourself. So we're working on it.
Well, guys, thank you.
So much to do. Yeah, you're welcome, man.
Always.
Well, we appreciate y'all. And I hope y'all enjoy the weekend. I got a little more work to do today and tomorrow. But look forward to connecting next week.
Indeed. You'll have everything hour.
Thank you, Ken. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, guys. Ariel, you got any comments?
No comment. Thank you, guys.
Hey, thank you.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
All right, guys.
Have a
Talk
good
to you
one.
soon.
Yep.